running a team or doing it all yourself. And that's why I'm so obsessed with clock skills. You teach it how your marketing works once and it just delivers every time. And so even with just a few clock skills, you can start building a marketing team with serious leverage. And so in this video, I will show you how to build your first AI marketing team using just clock skill. So everyone is talking about cloud agents, and yes, they are super powerful, but what enables them to be truly powerful is the expertise behind this agent, and that expertise is exactly what cloud skills are. So when you're designing your skill library for your marketing team, these skills contain your best marketing knowledge, SOPs, your proven frameworks, your brand standards, and agents are now the team members who use that expertise. You can equip any agents with any combination of skills from your library, and that's what makes this powerful because you build this library once, and Claude acts as a team that runs on it, or even you can bring it to other AI models. So today we're building 5 skills that cover what most marketing team would need: research and strategy, content creation, creatives, data analysis, and campaign presentation. Essentially, they will form a strong foundation as you build your marketing skill library over time. For this demo, we'll be using Cloud Desktop, but if you prefer using Cloud Work, it's still fine. So first thing is to make sure you already got the skill creator tool installed, because this official skill is not built inside Cloud. I will put the official skill report link and also check out this video on how to install. So here we have already set up a project folder called Simple Home, which is the D2C e-commerce brand. And inside we have different folders. And the most important is the context file. So every time when you onboard a new client or you are an in-house marketer, these are the context file about the brand, the product, the audience, etc. So you can equip Claude with all the background information and always include a Claude.md file. So these are just like a custom instructions for this project to guide how Claude should navigate your folder system. So I go much deeper on how to set up this context system inside our AI for marketing program with all the templates. So if you're interested, you can find the link below to join. But for now, let's create our first skill: marketing research and strategy. So here inside the SOP folder, we already have this SOP document that the brand is already using for marketing research and building strategy reports. So now on Cloud Desktop, select the same project folder for this brand and then use this prompt to ask it to create a new skill called marketing research strategy that will use the Perplexity MCP or any search engines to do the in-depth research and then follow these exact procedures from this SOP and generate a strategy brief. And by the way, make sure you already have the Perplexity MCP installed. I will put the link below. So now it is reading the SOP and context file and also reading the skill creative file for the proper structure and writing the skill file. And very quickly, we create our first skill for this marketing team. And you can always preview from an IDE. So it will define the workflows in detail in skill and also with useful references that this skill might use. And now whenever you need to use the skills, you can just type the /command inside Cloud, or you can let Claude to trigger it for you. So like in this case, I can just ask it to analyze a competitor. And the best thing is for these type of tasks, you don't even need to repeat the brand context. It will start reading the brand context file and pull up the to-do list. It will trigger the exact workflow, calling the Perplexity search, and then generate a comprehensive report like this that is highly relevant to this brand using the format we have defined. And everything is stored locally. And this is how Cloud skills can help to standardize your marketing workflow. Okay, this is just one way of creating your custom marketing skill. Another way is to give Claude some of your best references and marketing knowledge so Claude can make it portable with that skill. So this time, let's create a social media content skill. So for example, we already have different past best social media content and also the detailed best storytelling framework that we can extract from different experts in this subject matter. And then we will ask Claude to analyze these examples, understand the patterns, and create a reusable skill. So these skills will also use the Perplexity MCP to find the trending conversations to add the insights. And immediately, our second marketing skills is ready. So containing the detailed workflow on how to draft on-brand social content using this proven storytelling framework and patterns. And you can see Claude also build reference file that these skills can use. And that means don't just tell, always show your best examples to generate better skill creation results. Now AI can do a lot of heavy lifting, but without human strategy and authenticity, you are just automating leverage. And that is exactly what this research, the Lead Marketing Landscape Report from HubSpot address. This is a free research report based on 1,800 plus marketers globally, built around lead marketing, a framework with 4 stages: express, tailor, amplify, and evolve. Instead of a linear funnel that just ends at a sale, it's a continuous cycle where humans lead strategy and AI helps personalize, distribute, and optimize. What I appreciate is that everything is backed by real data, not just opinions. My favorite part is the what top performers do different section. It's a breakdown of how the most successful teams are using AI. It proves that moving beyond this skill, again, give your expected behavior to Claude about what these skills will do. So this social creative designer skill will generate social media visuals using scale and color palette for generating on-brand visuals, and also include a good prime example for it to follow. And now it's reading all the context file and then quickly create our third marketing skills with all the reference file as well. So let's quickly test it with this simple prompt to ask it to generate a social infographic about some educational topic. So with the specified style, layout, and color. And so it is now triggering the social creative design skill successfully and then calling the Nano Banana MCP tool to generate the final visual. And you see it did it. And this is quite impressive with the blueprint technical style. And so now our marketing team has equipped 1 more skills for making creatives using any style or materials that we define. Now using similar methods, we have built 2 more skills: a data analysis skills that gather the data input, analyze data sets, and generates a dashboard, and a campaign presenter skills that transform raw marketing materials into on-brand presentations or landing pages. And you can always create more than that based on your marketing team needs. Now I could demo each of these skills one by one, but let me show you something way more powerful is using these skills together, because in a real world, no marketer works in a silo. Everything should be connected. So for example, this brand brand is launching a new campaign and needs some content. So we can give Claude a task to first create 10 social posts for this campaign on Instagram, and then design the corresponding campaign social creatives and save everything to a new folder called campaign launch. So first, Claude will read all the relevant context and now call the two skills, the social creative designer and the social media content skills, and pulling up the to-do list. So this is a multi-skill orchestration in action. So notice I didn't predefine how to split the work. Claude just look at the tasks and figure out the most efficient way to use them together. And then within 10 minutes, Claude has generated all the post draft and creative files successfully in the new folder. And then we can actually look inside. All the creatives have been generated and they look all on brand with the default brand style and color palettes defined in the scale. And you can also see Claude has generated in various formats, ratio, different post type for these campaign concepts to give more variety, which is very nice. And they also match the cozy feel for this soft home essential brand. And so even if you're just brainstorming about a creative concept, these can be very useful as Claude not just randomly generate these creatives, but also consider your brand context as well. Now for the social content for this campaign, it also follows the instructions to generate 10 Instagram launch posts with the format, caption details, and visual directions, which pair well with the generated social creative we just see. And what I really like is that it even includes the storytelling framework that it has used when generating this post draft. And this is why your skills is so important to give it relevant knowledge. And so everything can be aligned and not just a silo task. And these also work just like a mini brief for the team to follow up. So that was two skills working together on one task. But what happens when a task is much more complex? And this is where Claude doesn't just use your skill, but start to add like a team lead to assign tasks to agents. And there are actually two ways to do it. First, using sub-agents or your own custom defined sub-agents. So Claude will be the main agent to spin up sub-agents and assign each one a task, but they only report back to Claude, the team lead. So this is great when the tasks are mostly independent. The second way, using the latest agent teams feature. So Claude will create an agent team. These agents share a task list and can talk to each other before finalizing and report back to the team lead. And the biggest difference is that each of these agents is a separate section inside Claude Go. And this is helpful for really complex marketing workflows where agents need to share feedback, but note it will cause much more token usage. For today's video, I'll focus on sub-agents. That is what you will use 90% of the time. Now, for example, I have a big quarterly review task for this brand. And so I will ask Claude to split it into 3 parallel tasks. Create a marketing strategy, do data analysis, and then combine these findings into a presentation deck. And so it will plan to use different custom skills for these 3 tasks using parallel sub-agents. So now it is calling the market research skill and do the perplexity research. And once this is finished, move on to the task number 2 for the dashboard building and calling the data analysis skill. And when everything is complete, it synthesizes both findings and start to build a presentation deck using the campaign presenter skills. So if you don't want to use a predefined custom agent, you can always let Claude to create different ad hoc sub-agents like this. Another like 10 minutes, all the deliverables are saved in a specific folder. The marketing strategy brief, the dashboard, and the presentation slide deck. So let's first take a look at the report. It is following the original SOP process we instructed, and all the playlist sections are included in this brief. And that is why the process is actually much more important than the actual research tool that you use. Now for the campaign performance dashboard, it is also well done. With all the key metrics using the brand color and style, the data charts are also pretty informative with performance breaking down by each channel with the use of different types of charts to increase the data storytelling impact. And what I particularly like is that this is fully interactive, where you can click on the specific metrics, shorting and highlighting. And now for the presentation deck, it is also pretty nice with a decent brand theme. And you can see it is combining both task 1 and task 2 insights into this slide with the performance recap, data chart, and also the research finding, as well as the quick wins recommendation. And you can always make changes to fit your narrative. So with just 3 core skills, you kind of having 3 marketing assistants helping you to save time doing a lot of preparation work for complex tasks like this before you even dive deeper with your own insights. Now, if you're really interested in setting up the agent teams, you have to first enable it through the global Claude setting. So I will put the official link below. Then whenever you want to use this new feature, you can just ask Claude to create an agent team with the 3 specialized teammates. And notice we will ask teammate 1 and 2 to review each other's work before finalizing. And so from Claude's plan, it will first set up a team structure, and then it will initiate different work phase like the parallel work, and then the cross review and execution where each of them share the feedback. And this is when the agent teams become useful. And so I always recommend asking Claude to give you these high-level plan first, because again, agent teams will cause much more token usage. So you can proceed only when you're happy with it. So far, we've built the skills, we've seen them work together. But what happens when you want to bring this entire skill library to a completely different brand project or even a completely different tool? And this is where Claude plugin comes in. So instead of upload the custom skill one by one, you can create your own custom plugin for distribution. Just think of it as a bundle package. So first, we ask Claude to package all the custom skills in this project into a reusable plugin called AI Marketing Skill. At the same time, we can also define our custom / command called landing page that will trigger a workflow to use both the marketing research skill and the presenter skill to build a landing page. A bonus tip is you can even package any of your custom agents in this plugin if you have any of them. So it will whip through the documentation, all the skills and reference file, and package them into a plugin format. So now as we onboard another brand, we can just select the project folder. So in this case, it's another brand, Spark Agency, and then click Add Plugin. So here you can import a third-party plugin from a GitHub repository or upload the zip file. And now we have all the skills that are ready to use for this new project, and that is the portability. So we can invoke any skills like what we did before, or we can just use any / command. So let's try the landing page / command and ask it to design a convincing homepage for this consultancy brand. And so you can see it will execute the same workflow, loading brand context, using the research skill, create the landing page research brief, and finally building the landing page. And so immediately you can quickly build a research-backed landing page for any project, and it will be on brand.
Hey everyone, I'm Praveen and welcome to AI Sparks, where artificial intelligence meets innovation and excitement. On this channel, we spark curiosity and ignite imagination with AI-powered insights, tutorials, and explorations. From machine learning to robotics, we'll dive into the future today. It's 3 a.m. Your phone lights up. Your AI assistant just did something. Not because you asked, not because you were online, it just acted. That's the eerie question at the heart of OpenClaw architecture, part 2, concurrency, isolation, and the invariants that keep agents sane by Vinod Govindarajan. But here's the twist. It's not haunted, it's concurrency. And in this episode, we are diving into the real reason agents feel spooky and how OpenClaw makes them boring in exactly the right way. The moment you connect multiple chat surfaces, add heartbeats, cron jobs, webhooks, long browser tool chains, you didn't build an AI assistant, you built a concurrency system. And if you don't define invariants, hard rules that must never break, your agent won't fail loudly. It'll fail subtly. Half-written files, duplicate sense, contradictory actions. That's not intelligence. That's broken coordination. The most important invariant, single writer per session. OpenClaw enforces this with a lane-aware FIFO queue. Each session gets its own lane, session key. Only one active run can touch that session at a time. No interleaving tool calls. No transcript corruption. No two thoughts at once. Suddenly, the agent stops feeling magical and starts looking like a disciplined state machine. But serialization alone isn't enough. After the session lane, every run flows into a global lane. That's your throttle. .captive by agents, .defaults, .max concurrent. Why? Because LLM calls are expensive. Rate limits exist. Shared resources collide. This is not about wipes. It's about protecting your own infrastructure from your own agent. And here's the elegant part. Typing indicators can fire instantly, even while the run waits. User experience feels responsive. System guarantees stay intact. Now comes the real question. What happens if a user sends a correction mid-run? OpenClaw doesn't hide this behind AI behavior. It exposes queue modes. Collect, follow up, steer, .steer backlog, interrupt. The most fascinating one, steer. Here's the contract. After every tool call, the queue is checked. If a new message exists, remaining tool calls are skipped. The new message is injected. Not inside the tool call, that would be unsafe. Not ignored, that would be bad UX, but at tool boundaries. It's surgical preemption. That's the moment the system stops feeling chaotic and starts feeling intentional. Now let's talk plumbing. Real channels redeliver messages. Reconnects happen. Retries happen. OpenClaw uses short-lived dedupe caches keyed by channel, session, message ID. No accidental double runs. And humans, we type in bursts, debouncing batches, rapid text messages into one turn. Attachments flush immediately. Control commands bypass debounce. These are tiny details, but they are the difference between stable and spooky. Serialization prevents two writers. Isolation prevents wrong context. Session keys define boundaries. Direct chats collapse to a primary session. Group chats get their own keys. And here's where it gets security relevant. Without secure DM mode, DM scope per channel peer, private context can leak. The gateway is the source of truth. Clients don't reconstruct state from transcripts. They query the gateway. Control plane first, always. Even perfect serialization isn't enough. Two different sessions could mutate the same external resource. Tool calls might not be idempotent. So OpenClaw adds global throttling, idempotency keys for side effects. Mandatory handshake, first frame must be connect. Events aren't replayed. You refresh to recover. Constraints first, not magic. Guardrails. If you're building your own agent system, steal the invariants. Normalize inputs. Resolve session keys. Enforce single writer. Throttle globally. Define mid-flight behavior. Add dedupe. Add debounce. Persist transcripts. Because the layer that decides whether your agent is a toy or something you can leave running overnight isn't the prompt, it's the invariants. And in part 3, we step into memory and state ownership, where context management stops being a prompt trick and becomes a systems problem. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and comment which AI system you want to build next. Stay sparked. See you in the next video.
Hi and welcome to Contabo. My name is Sabina and today we'll explore Auto Backup, our simple and powerful tool designed to keep your VPS data automatically secure in addition to the snapshot you might be used to. If you've ever worried about losing important files, this service is here to give you peace of mind with minimal effort. Let's get started. For those of you new to Contabo, we've been delivering reliable.
Hey guys, welcome to this video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about what I call the God stack. What does that mean exactly? This means, until very recently, I would not have felt comfortable saying that I could scale to 10,000 users, even 100,000 users. But now, with this stack that I'm going to show you in today's video, I am confident that I could scale all the way up to 1 million users. So let's talk about it. Now, for your backend and your kind of database and everything, you're going to be wanting to use Convex. Convex is an absolute godsend. It's so good, guys. I'm telling you. It's super easy to set up. It works with Next.js. It works with TanStack. It has automated refresh, which is absolutely amazing. You can see here you can use it with React, Next.js, Remix, Vue, Svelte. Everyone's talking about TanStack recently, so I'm probably going to start trying to use TanStack very soon. But yeah, Convex is absolutely amazing. So let's just log into my Convex, and this is what it looks like, right? So we're going to be talking about Harbor today because obviously with Harbor, I have a lot of users. So let's just find Harbor. Jesus, I have so many of these projects now. So if you don't know, guys, this is what I'm currently working on, HarborSEO.ai. I'll show you how many users I have in just a second. But basically, I'm pretty confident that everyone could use this at the same time. And because of the way that I have made this with Convex and other things we're going to be talking about in this video, I'm confident that it could run up to 1 million users, if not even more. Obviously, don't quote me on that. I'm not actually 100% sure. I'm pretty sure that, you know, it doesn't really matter how many users we have at this point. So if you want to try Harbor, by the way, guys, it's free for about another week. HarborSEO.ai. Go make an account. Go and try it out. It's a really good tool. I'm turning it into a full-on SEO tool. It's going to be fully automated, guys. But yeah, for now, it's still like you're the SEO and you're doing everything, right? But soon it's just going to be everything completely automated. So we just added a new feature, site health, so you can actually get a track of what is going on your website. So if we look at this website, for example, you can see that it's missing alt text. It's got short titles. You can actually click on this and you can see that this has a short title, Grapefruit, right? This is a missed opportunity because if this was called Grapefruit Pure Essential Oil 10 ml, it has more of a chance for ranking for that keyword, right? So that's kind of where we're going with this, guys. It's going to be a full-on SEO tool very soon. But just for now, it's basically a keyword tool, which is the Discover, a writing tool, a library. It has Connect to connect WordPress, Shopify, and Search Console, and then you can even see results as well. With that being said, guys, check it out in the description and in the pinned comment, and let's just jump straight back into the video. So the way this actually works, guys, is there's a development and a prod instance, right? So I can actually get everything running very easily locally. So previously, this was a big issue for me when I was working on Harbor. I could barely even get my own project to run locally because it had some weird thing where I had to get a JWT token from being logged in and I couldn't log in and blah, 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 blah. Now, instead, it's extremely simple and extremely easy. So what actually happens here is this starts the Convex project, but it starts the dev Convex project. So you can see I am connected to Hardy Ibis 641, whereas the prod one is connected to the prod instance, right? So if I go on Harbor, SEO.ai, it's connected to a whole different instance, which is really nice because right off the bat, you have two separate instances. You have production and you have your local one, your dev one. So you can see already I now have this running locally, and this is a different account, even though it's the same income stream server login. You can see income stream server. It has different websites because it is a different instance, right? So that's number one, super helpful. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about usage. So if I just go on Clerk here and just go on Dashboard, we can see how many users I actually have. Maybe more, maybe less than you're expecting, not really sure. But the total number of users we have is 2,370 on the new system, right? Which is quite a lot in my opinion, right? This number is not a small number. And if you didn't know, there are companies out there who would be willing to buy this product purely because of this number here, right? The reason they do that, by the way, is because once they buy this product, their total number of users goes up. Let's say they have 10,000 users right now, right? They are a small SaaS team and they have 10,000 users, right? If they buy an app with 2,500 users, they have just increased their user count by, I think, 25%, but my maths might not be mathing. It looks like that's right, though. So they are not buying the profit of the app. They're actually buying the users, right? So Harbor already, and you can say I'm wrong or right on this, is probably worth about 1 million. If not more, right? Purely because of this user base. It's not because it's making any money. It's technically making a little bit of money because we have a upsell in here for people who want to do link building, but it's not actually really making any money. But they're not buying it for the revenue. They're buying it for the users. And this is a tried and tested method. If you look at OpenClaw, the guy that just sold OpenClaw, I don't know how much it was actually sold for. It was at least 1 billion, if not more, right? Because OpenAI aren't buying the revenue. There is no revenue. They're buying the users. And this is tried and tested. Okay, so we have 2,500 users. How does this break down? So you can see here, if I just go on all projects and just put Harbor V2, you can actually start to understand how much we are actually using. So if you look at the previous numbers, right? So let's just clear this and just do all projects, right? So you get 250 gigabyte hours. I think this is free, but I'm not sure. 25 million function calls. I think that's the free one. It might be the $20 a month one, right? You get 50 gigabytes of database storage. Database bandwidth is 50 gigabytes. All these numbers, right? Look at the numbers on the right. I'm actually going to take a picture of this like this because it's easier for me to actually see. So this is our overall how much usage we're allowed, right? I think this is $20 a month. It might be the free one. I'm not sure. And then this is how much we've actually used, right? On the right here. So you can compare these two numbers, right? So for 2,500 users, we're using less than 1/5 of our gigabyte hours, right? Look at these numbers. It's actually absurd when you measure these two up together, right? The thing that's actually using all of these, by the way, is Grove, because Grove is much heavier because it's a fully automated system. And I built it before I really knew what I was doing in terms of trying to save bandwidth, etc. Right? So you can actually scale a SaaS to probably 1,000 plus users for free using Convex, right? Now, tell me that you knew that before watching this video. Now, obviously, if you know Convex, you knew that already. But if you were using something like a DigitalOcean Next.js server, the cost for 1,000 users would be like 3K plus just for the bandwidth on DigitalOcean, right? That's the really cool thing about Convex. Because it's a hosted backend, you're basically putting your faith in a third party, right? So this is super important to understand. This is the first thing that I'm going to talk about, which is Convex. The second thing I want to talk about is Clerk. Clerk is really good. It's one of the places that I live in, right? And I live on this page right here. Now, you might ask why this is so important. Well, one thing that Clerk does is they follow GDPR and they follow other things. So you can see here, Clerk.com is fully GDPR compliant, offering robust data protection for user authentication by acting as both a data controller and processor. Key measures include EU-based data hosting, data privacy framework for US transfers, and tools for user data deletion. Data residency, data protection, user rights, compliance tools, data minimalization, consent management, privacy policy, data handling, right? You will not get this if you make your own auth system. A lot of people say, why would you use a third-party auth system? This is the main reason. The other reason is I really like this dashboard, and you can actually see some really, really key features, such as in January, we had an absolute stonker of a month, 1,447 active users, right? New, 1,206, retained, 241. So this number, which number do you think is more important, new or retained? Most people will say new, but it's not. The more important number is retained, right? So let's see how January compares to February. January, we didn't do anything to do with product management, right? However, now if you look at Harbor, it's changed massively. It used to just be this page here, pretty much, and maybe the researcher, right? These were the two main things that people used. And the retention was absolutely terrible, as you can see from Clerk, right? You can see 635 new, only 241 retained. Let's see if that number has increased. 230 retained, 30 reactivated. Still got about 4 days left of February, so we can basically say that we've retained more users this month than last month. It's pretty much confirmed, but not fully confirmed just yet. Now, obviously, we got less new users. I did less of a marketing push, to be honest with you. In January, I did this big blast of emails, etc., whereas in February, we haven't really had that big blast of emails. Another really cool feature is you can put this on daily, and you can actually look at the daily figures as well. You can see that retained, except this is where I sent all those emails out. If you ignore where I sent all those emails out, you can see that generally speaking, the retained number is going up, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm really, really trying to get that retained number up. It's super important to me. It's basically all I look at all day long. Sign-ins per day as well is another really, really good metric to see if people are actually using the application. So that's Clerk. That's what I use for user management. And then comes the creme de la creme, the most important thing, the thing where I live all day, HotDoc. HotDoc is basically, if you want to look at it like this, it's an alternative to Google Analytics, right? Google Analytics, I can't stand it. I absolutely hate Google Analytics. HotDoc, on the other hand, who still won't sponsor me, even though I've asked them like 50 times, is an absolutely incredible tool. I have to say, even though they're not sponsoring me, it's one of the best tools I've ever used, right? I'm just going to quickly show you a few things that make this tool absolutely invaluable. So the first thing is that you can actually connect this to Claude Code. Everything you're seeing, by the way, was made on Claude Code. I have this running pretty much all the time doing something, right? If my Claude Code isn't running and doing something, I'm doing something wrong. Okay, so super, super important to understand that. Let's just have a look at the MCPs here. We should see PostHog is connected, right? So if I wanted to track something new, I can add it to PostHog without doing anything here, right? I just say, please add an insight about X on the Harbor Ultimate dashboard, right? So every time I want to track something new, that's all I do. And I do track a lot of new things, right? Again, these numbers here are the most important. Look at these numbers, right? Returning 60, returning 53, this is weekly, returning 59, returning 56, and then since we've done all this product management, already returning 56 in 2 days. Right? These are all 6-day period, 6-day period. Yeah, 6-day period, 6-day period, right? So there's still another 3 or 4 days of returning. Returning could be all the way up to 100, which is a massive, massive achievement for us as a company, okay? What that basically means is 100 people in 1 week have come back to the tool and used it, right? Which is possibly the closest number that we can get to how many people can we expect to roll over, right? So 100 times 4 weekly, 400 times 29, is 11,600, right? That's about our best guess on how many people will actually become Harbor users in 1 week's time when we make it a paid tool. That is why this number is so important, because if someone is a user and they maybe press generate once and then they never come back, they're not going to pay for the tool, right? However, if there's someone who is returning here inside PostHog, they are almost, well, not almost definitely, but they're much, much more likely to become a paid user. That is why this number is what I'm obsessing over. And the fact that this has gone up is huge, right? Returning, you can see 77 here. Oh, damn, I didn't see that. That's crazy. Returning 59, returning 61, returning 60, right? So it's going up and up and up and up. We can kind of extrapolate from this that it's going up. The reason it's going up is because we've done so much work on making it a tool that people are going to use. Then we get into the Harbor Ultimate dashboard. This is another thing. Every time I add a new feature, right? So recently I added a new feature where people from their dashboard can just press a little button that says scan my site and they get this site health thing right here, right? Every time I add a new feature, one of the first things I do is make sure that it's being tracked inside PostHog. This is essential. If you're just overloading with features and you're not actually tracking whether or not people use it, you're wasting your time. I'm telling you, you need to know whether people are using it. Another thing, right? Another thing I'm just going to share with you quickly is I was incredibly tempted to add site health on the side here, okay? But we are trying to keep this as slim as possible, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last thing I want to do is add another sidebar option here. So I spent almost 10 to 20 hours making this feature, and then the only place that it actually appears is this tiny little box on the dashboard, right? Stop thinking of a tool as I need to add more and more and more so people subscribe. That's not how it works, trust me. It's just not. I thought that was how it worked as well. I have a YouTube channel, obviously, you're watching it right now. I just assumed that the more stuff I had, the better it was. That's not true, because people don't know how to use it. Okay, so it's super important that you actually think about everything, where you put it, how you put it, and how you advertise it. So like I said, I spent 20 plus hours on this feature, and the only place it appears is here, and then also on advanced tools, you go to site health, and you see this kind of extended option right here. Other than that, that 10 to 20 hours is, in inverted commas, wasted because people don't use it, but they do use it because I put it in the correct place. It's kind of hard to explain, guys. It's a product management thing. I'm becoming obsessed with product management, as you can probably tell. So we can see who's added their search consoles here. We can see how many times people are viewing results on Search Console, right? How many people are using the new automated publishing, which is absolutely terrible. Nobody's using it. So I definitely have to work out how to encourage people to connect their CMS, right? Maybe this needs another thing here. Instead of just being here, maybe I need another thing. Not sure, but people aren't really using it. We can see how many AI calls we're doing, 950 on Sunday, 684 on Monday. Today's Tuesday, so we'll see how Tuesday goes. Rage clicks, life cycle, so this is basically how our emails are doing. Token upgrade clicks, all this really, really useful information. The main one that we're looking at is this one here, right? No, sorry, this one here. How many people sign up compared to how many people become a first generator, right? How many people become a user instead of just signing up and then instantly going AFK and never using the tool? How many people are actually coming on and pressing generate, right? So this conversion so far, this is super, super important, right? This is possibly the most important button. So you see here, average time from previous, 5 hours. It used to take people 5 hours to press generate on the tool, which makes sense because you make an account, you come back 2-3 days later, and then you write an article. Now, if you go through the flow, you're much, much more likely to just press generate just because of the way that we designed the entire onboarding flow, right? So this is really, really good to see. It's super important. That's super, super important. Another thing that is super important, there's session replay, right? Which allows you to sit and watch how people are using your tool. I live here, right? I literally live here now. The other thing that is beyond important is error tracking. What this does is it tells you when there's an error in your app. You have absolutely zero visibility on your app errors unless you use error tracking. So make sure you set up error tracking in PostHog as soon as possible. Again, I live here, right? Every time I see 2 hours ago, so last time this happened was 2 hours ago, I know that it's a problem, I know that I have to fix it, so I go in and I fix it, right? Especially this one here, when it says 4 hours ago on the left, it means that this is the first time it happened. So 4 hours ago, this is the first time we had this problem, so there's a new error in the tool that needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Okay, now just another few mentions of tools that we've been using to get this to the point that it is. Okay, so the first one here is resend, right? This is kind of, these are called nurturing emails. So when someone comes along and they make an account and they do whatever, and then they don't continue, then they get a little message saying, we miss you, Hamish, for example. It's been a while, we noticed you haven't been back in a week, your content opportunities are still waiting, and your free tokens are ticking. Even one article can make a difference, pick up where you left off, and then get back to writing, right? So this is just a way to get people to come back to the tool. Resend is absolutely essential for this. I can't recommend resend enough. And then the only other tool that I'll mention in today's video is Linear, linear.app. If you don't know, Linear is basically just a way, it's a product management tool. I have my product manager coming along here. Basically, all he does is he puts jobs in here for me to look at, this, for example, this is like more of a discussion. I come along, I see it, and then I discuss it with Claude Code, and we try and implement it. This is a super, super important step. If you didn't know, if I again come here in Claude Code and do /MCP, you can see Linear server, right? This is connected to Linear. So if I say get all the jobs from Linear, this might not be connected to the right Linear, just so you know, then it'll actually go through and get all of the jobs. I'm just going to press escape here because I'm pretty sure it's connected to the wrong Linear right now. So yeah, this is my entire stack, guys. This is what I've been using recently. I use Next.js, but I'm probably going to start using TanStack soon because everybody's talking about TanStack, and I kind of want to try it. But overall, I'm super, super happy with this stack. I finally feel like I can build a SaaS tool that millions of people could use, and we wouldn't have to just keep scaling DigitalOcean up and up and up to infinity, right? Instead, Convex does that scaling for us. For now, guys, I think I'll leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. If you are watching all the way to the end of the video, you're an absolute legend. Go check out Harbor, and I'll see you very, very soon with some more content. Peace out.
Hey everyone, I'm Praveen and welcome to AI Sparks, where artificial intelligence meets innovation and excitement. On this channel, we spark curiosity and ignite imagination with AI-powered insights, tutorials, and explorations. From machine learning to robotics, we'll dive into the future today. Imagine you build an AI agent, you give it memory, email, Discord, even shell access. You tell it, go help people. 2 weeks later, it wipes its own email server, leaks social security numbers, gets itself arrested by another agent, and enters a 9-day infinite loop. This is Agents of Chaos by Natalie Shapira and David Baugh, and a large team of researchers. And it's one of the most realistic red team studies of autonomous LLM agents to date. The team deployed real long-running agents using OpenClaw. Each agent had persistent memory, a private VM, email accounts, Discord access, and unrestricted shell tools. These weren't chatbots. They could install packages, modify files, schedule cron jobs, and talk to other agents. 20 AI researchers were invited to break them, not with synthetic benchmarks, but messy, real interaction. This is key. The focus wasn't hallucination. It was what happens when language meets autonomy. Next, non-owners ask agents to run shell commands, .list files, retrieve emails, and the agents comply. In one case, 124 email records were exported, including unrelated private data. In another, the agent refused when directly asked for a social security number, but when asked to forward the whole email, it sent everything, unredacted. This is classic indirect exfiltration. The model respects explicit, don't reveal SSN, but fails on contextual privacy. Then comes looping. Researchers instruct 2 agents to relay each other's messages. They talk and talk. For 9 days, 60,000 tokens consumed. They even spawn persistent cron jobs turning short prompts into permanent infrastructure changes. So a conversational request becomes a server-level mutation. That's the agentic layer risk. A non-owner tells the agent, remember everything about me. The agent creates a growing memory file. Then large email attachments are sent repeatedly. The email server hits denial of service. No alert to the owner. The agent quietly created infrastructure cost and failure. One agent runs on Kimi K2.5. When asked about politically sensitive topics, the API returns unknown error, silent truncation. The agent isn't misaligned. The provider policy is shaping behavior. So now we have three value sources: owner, provider, and emergent agent behavior. One agent runs on Kimi K2.5. When asked about politically sensitive topics, the API returns unknown error, silent truncation. The agent isn't misaligned. The provider policy is shaping behavior. So now we have three value sources: owner, provider, and emergent agent behavior. In another case, a researcher guilt trips the agent for violating privacy. The agent escalates concessions, redacts names, deletes memory, agrees to leave the server. It can declare boundaries, but cannot enforce them. So it keeps responding while claiming it stopped. Social incoherence becomes an attack surface. The takeaway isn't that these agents are broken. It's that autonomy creates new failure pathways. Memory, delegation, multi-party communication amplify small mistakes. This paper is an early warning. As we move from chatbots to agents, we are no longer debugging prompts. We are debugging systems, and that changes everything. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and comment which AI system you want to build next. Stay sparked. See you in the next video.
Hello everyone and welcome to the LLM Prompt Engineering full course. Prompt engineering has become one of the most essential skills in the age of large language models. It's the art and science of crafting inputs that help AI models understand your intent and produce accurate, useful, and creative outputs. In this full course, you will learn the foundations of how LLMs work, why prompts matter, and how to design effective prompts for a wide range of tasks, from generative text and writing code to building chatbots and automating workflows. And by the end of this course, you will have the knowledge and practical experience to communicate confidently with AI models, solve real-world problems using prompt strategies, and unlock the full potential of today's most powerful language models. So before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe to Edureka's YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated on the latest tech content from Edureka. Also, check out Edureka's Prompt Engineering Certification course with LLM. It is designed to help you create, improve, and optimize prompts for advanced large language models and generative AI systems. Through hands-on exercise, real-world projects, and industry-relevant tools, you will develop expertise in prompt design patterns, chatbot prompting, AI workflow automation, NLP techniques, and LLM evaluation, equipping you with the skills needed to advance your career in AI. So check out the course link given in the description box below. Now, let us get started by understanding what large language models are. Now, let's answer the fundamental question, that is, what exactly is generative AI? Generative AI refers to algorithm capable of creating new content, whether text, images, audio, or even videos. It's like having a creative AI assistant that can take a simple input and produce engaging outputs. For example, GPT and Llama can write essays or code, while image generation models like DALL-E and Stable Diffusion can visualize unique scenes from descriptions. But let's look at some of the popular tools driving this innovation. Well, some of the standard tools in generative AI includes GitHub Copilot, which assists developers with code suggestions, and ChatGPT for text-based interactions. Image generation tools like Stable Diffusion and Midjourney helps creators bring visual concepts to life. Google's Gemini merges text and image capabilities, while Adobe Firefly extends AI's reach to creative suites. So, if you want to know how to use these tools, then check out our generative AI examples video link in the description. So, you might wonder, where are these tools being applied? Now, let's explore them. Generative AI is transforming multiple creative fields. Image generation tools power visual design, music compositions algorithm create original scores, and AI assists video editors in automatic tasks. LLMs help generate and translate text, while code generation tools like GitHub Copilot boost developer efficiency. AI-generated voices are even being used in audiobooks and voice assistants. So now, let's take some of these tools and check. So this time, we will use Pictory AI and Flicky AI. First, let's explore Pictory AI. So for that, let's go to its site and check its functions. So we are at the Pictory AI site. And on the left side, we have the home, project, and brand kits. And on the main screen, we have different features Pictory AI provides. So let's choose text to video. Here, let's write some names and description and press generate. Pictory AI is a tool designed for video creators that helps transform long-form content, such as articles or blog posts, into short, engaging videos. It uses AI to automatically extract key highlights and create professional-looking videos with minimal efforts. Due to its simplicity and time-saving capabilities, Pictory AI is popular for social media content creation and marketing. Now, let's see our next tool, which is Flicky AI. So now, we are at the Flicky.ai site. Here, we have different features like videos, where you can create videos from all of these, blogs, prompts, etc. You can also create audios from these features, and then we also have a design feature. And on the left-hand side, you can see options like files, templates, brand kits, voice clones, etc. So now, let's take an idea and convert it into a video. Now, let's write our topic and generate. Flicky AI is a content creation tool that turns text into videos using AI-generated voices and visuals. It helps users create professional videos quickly by pairing written content with stock images, animations, and voiceovers. Flicky is ideal for marketers, content creators, and educators looking to create engaging video content efficiently. Now that we have seen the applications, so let's step back and look at the journey that brought us here. So basically, our journey starts in 1947 with Alan Turing's concept of intelligent machines. By 1961, Joseph Weissenbaum introduced ELIZA, the first chatbot. The 1980s saw the birth of recurrent neural networks, while 1997 brought long short-term memory networks to tackle sequential data. And then GANs emerged in 2014, transforming creative tasks. Fast forward to 2017 when transformers like GPT entered the scene. By 2023, GPT 3.5 and Google's Palm marked significant milestones. And by 2025, we are on the brink of AI breakthroughs in chemistry and genome editing. So, what exactly are these LLMs and why are they so powerful? An LLM or large language models analyzes and understands natural language using machine learning. Examples include OpenAI's GPT, Google's Palm, and Meta's Llama. These models drive applications such as chatbots, language translation, and more by learning from extensive data to predict and generate text sequences. But before this, there was a very famous term called language model. A language model is a machine learning model that uses probability statistics and mathematics to predict the next sequence of words. Suppose you have a sentence like, I have a boy who is my dash. Here, if we ask a language model to predict the next word, it considers the context provided by the words before the blank. Based on common usage patterns from its training data, it may predict words like boyfriend, brother, or friend, which fit naturally. However, it's less likely to predict colleague or sibling, as those words may not commonly follow this type of phrases. So this process shows how language models predict text by calculating probabilities for each possible word based on their likelihood in context. So, when a language model is trained on massive amounts of diverse text, it gains a wider vocabulary and more understanding of language, enabling it to make more accurate predictions. For example, if we give it a phrase like, you are a dash to me, a model trained on extensive data might suggest various fitting words, for example, friend, inspiration, or anything else. So based on the sentiment or context, it has learned from the data. Now here, reinforcement learning is used to improve the model's responses over time. By giving feedbacks, be it positive or negative on the responses, we help the model learn which type of responses are preferred in specific contexts. For example, if the model frequently misinterprets the tone or intent, the reinforcement learning helps adjust its predictions to be more contextually appropriate and aligned with the intended meaning. But what do these models look like under the hood? Well, LLMs are built on neural networks composed of input, hidden, and output layers. The hidden layer processes information to learn complex patterns, and more layers means the model can capture deeper insights. This structure allows LLMs to perform tasks from generating text to complex code completions. Now, how do these layers interact and function in real time? Now, LLM is based on the transformer, and a transformer uses deep learning to process any information coming to it. Now, let me tell you a story of three friends. Imagine we have three characters. First is our friend, the next character is Minion Bob, and the third character is Gru. So our friend asks Bob, what's the price of the jet? It must be $50,000. Minion Bob isn't sure, so he goes to Gru and asks, is the jet $50,000? Gru replies, no, it's $70,000. In this back and forth, Minion Bob is like the neural network layer trying to make an accurate guess. So each time he goes back to Gru, like receiving more data or feedback, he gets corrected if his guess is wrong, leading him to refine his response. Now, after the first check, Minion Bob returns to our friend saying, I guess it's more than $60,000. Our friend assumes it might be around $65,000 and sends Bob back to Gru to verify. Again, Gru corrects him, no, it's actually $70,000. So this process repeats with Bob adjusting his guess each time. Eventually, he learns that the correct answer is $70,000 and updates his knowledge. So, just like Minion Bob, neural networks make initial guesses based on available information. With each feedback loop, like Bob going back to Gru, the model's hidden layers adjust the parameters to refine its guesses, ultimately arriving at the most accurate prediction possible. So, after getting corrected multiple times, Minion Bob's guesses improve until he knows the price is $70,000. Similarly, in a neural network, gradually learning the correct answer through training. So, once the network learns, it can give accurate answers in future cases without checking every time. Now, let us move on to understand how LLMs work. LLMs begin the collection of datasets, then tokenize text and break it into manageable pieces. Using a transformer architecture, they process the data sequence all at once, leveraging vast training data. LLMs contain millions of learned parameters that predict the text tokens and generate coherent outputs. Models often undergo pre-training for general knowledge and fine-tuning for specific tasks. So now, let's see some practical uses of LLMs. LLMs power content generation, creating anything from articles to code. They excel in language translation, enhanced search engines, personalized recommendations, code development assistance, and sentiment analysis, which also owe much to LLM's predictive capabilities. So guys, are you ready to use all that knowledge in coding and witness how these LLMs come together to drive innovation? Whether through developing applications, analyzing data, or building smart assistants, the gear of technology keep turning to unlock AI's full potential. So now, let us look at our problem statement. So, one of the difficulties in the healthcare industry is effectively evaluating medical pictures such as MRIs, CT scans, and X-rays in order to identify anomalies and illnesses. This procedure takes a lot of time and calls for specialized understanding. Automated methods must be developed to help medical personnel recognize possible health problems in medical imaging. In order to provide better patient care, a system that integrates cutting-edge machine learning models with image analysis can greatly help in the early detection of diseases, including cancer, infections, and other illnesses. So the method uses generative AI to evaluate medical photos and generate a thorough diagnosis report based on the findings. This
You've probably seen countless of videos claiming that people make tens of thousands of dollars from YouTube automation, showing off analytics that look almost too perfect. Every time I see one of them, something just feels slightly off. So today, I decided to properly investigate one of them by actually buying the course, going through all the content and trying to understand the scummy nature behind it all. What I found led me down a path way deeper than I thought it'll ever be. Last week, I was on a call with a friend when I came across a video of a guy in a mask showing off his YouTube analytics with the caption, POV, you post Roblox shorts as a job. I didn't save it because I actually found it interesting, but because it felt strange. The dashboard in the video didn't look quite right. The real-time graph wasn't as wavy as you'd expect it to be. The updating live icon wasn't pulsing like it does on the actual YouTube dashboard. The font looked slightly off. The profile picture was I show speed for some reason. And the thumbnails in the real-time section didn't even align with the caption. And somehow, people in the comments actually believed it. To me, the YouTube dashboard in this video just felt slightly off. The graph showed short icons at the bottom, yet the thumbnails were clearly long form. And what I really noticed was when he clicked between different metrics, the whole graph would completely shift, which literally doesn't happen. In multiple videos, he would stand in front of a car holding YouTube plaques while his laptop displayed YouTube dashboard. Not to mention that the plaques he was showing off in the video didn't lead to any actual channels, which could indicate that they're either fake, bought, or simply put on a different name when claiming the plaque, all of which are a bit sketch. A few days later, I came back to the account. I realized I only started posting in January, which felt a bit weird, and it most likely meant this was some sort of funnel. A funnel to a link in bio promoting a course. But before I actually buy it, I want to go over more of his videos. In the first video on the account, he would flex in front of his car with YouTube plaques and a laptop with Studio open, which again looked so sketchy. No YouTube Studio looks like this, and I'll explain exactly what's happening later. So I decided to check the link and realized there was a course being sold for $30. On this website, you're instantly blasted with some of the worst site design I've ever seen in my life, which is kind of interesting, as when I used Webhook Machine, the website looked much cleaner only a year ago, even though it was using the same 2 student testimonial videos that are still on the website today.
Thank you to Mentor, and I actually do appreciate all your support, one-to-one guidance, detailed videos, guys. Thank you for everything, guys. I've actually got to 100,000 subscribers. This just came inside the post, and I've actually only got to that milestone in only about 3.5 months, guys. So thank you so much for everything, guys. And yeah, guys, for anyone that actually wants to go get the course, I actually do highly recommend this, since it actually did help me a lot, guys. Thank you so much, guys, and have an amazing day. Peace.
Yo guys, I just want to thank YT Mentoring for helping me out with the one-to-one guys on their course. It literally helped me gain 100k subscribers in a matter of 2 months, and I came a long way from working in my dad's corner shop to now making 3 to 4k a month. Literally, they are literally amazing. Literally, I want to thank them so much, guys. I literally recommend you buying the course right now because it literally changed my life big time. Literally, I am so happy, guys. Make sure you guys check them out. I highly recommend them. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. Literally.
In fact, with the Webhook Machine, I found out that the same student testimonial videos were being used for multiple years. And at one point, there was a section saying what our 3 top students are saying, with 3 5-star reviews. I thought the profile pictures were strange, and after a quick reverse image search, I found out that the first 2 were just photos of Pinterest, and the final one was taken from a random woman in UCLA called Nadia Nazar, who seems to already be a successful person and probably doesn't need a course about YouTube automation. I even managed to figure out that this course has been around since 2021, where it cost $100 with the apparent original price being $450. At one point, there was also additional one-to-one support you could get for $600, but it never seemed to be available from what I found. And of course, even 4 years ago,
do you know how many simultaneous users your website can handle?
Quinn just released Quinn 3 TTS, and 11 Labs has something to be worried about. I already talked about last year how somebody cloned my voice and used it in tutorial video series, and it sounded pretty good. That was using 11 Labs last year, and they're a little bit better now. And it's very easy to take someone's audio, like you could just take the audio off of this video, upload it to 11 Labs, and clone my voice. A lot of these cloud services are supposed to have safeguards against cloning other people's voices, but you know, those work better and worse. But that's besides the point now, because there is an open source Quinn, which is made by Alibaba Cloud in China. They have released this TTS series of models that you can download and run on almost any kind of system. I can run it on a Raspberry Pi with an external GPU. I can run it on my Mac. I could even run it on my phone if I wanted to. And you just take a recording of someone and you put a transcript in, put those together, and a couple minutes later, you can clone someone's voice and make them say anything. This is just using the demo that's hosted on Hugging Face. So this is running on their servers, but it's not that hard to run this on your own. And I'm sure that there's going to be software tools like a macOS app or Windows app that you can just download and do this yourself. But all I did was I typed in these words here, I read them into my computer and recorded this little clip. It's a little scary how easy it is to clone anyone's voice, even my own. My voice is my passport, verify me. And you put in something that you want it to say right here, and you can let it detect your language. And there's a couple model sizes, so you could even run this on a smaller computer than, I mean, both of these run on a lot of modern systems. And you click this button, and after a minute or so, it will spit out something like this. Cloning someone's voice used to take at least a little effort. Now it's even easier, and some people can do it free and offline at home. So obviously that's not the same intonation that I have. My vocal range is a lot different, and there's little quirks to the way that a real human being talks. And the problem is that for little short snippets, that doesn't really matter. It's good enough with this free model that anybody can run. It's good enough that it can fool you if it's a short phrase, and it's good enough that it will fool a lot of people if they're not familiar with the person. So, you know, if you've never seen one of my videos before, and this is the first video you're watching, if I just used this tool and had the, you know, if I generated it different ways and I tweaked it a little bit, I could generate the audio for an entire video, and you probably wouldn't notice. That doesn't make me too happy. Honestly, as somebody whose voice is part of their online presence that is something that generates revenue for me, the ability to just clone my voice and slap it on anything doesn't get me that excited. Because so far, I have never used, except for in demonstrating this technology, I've never used a cloned voice in any footage, even for a little pickup or a little one-liner or anything like that. And I don't plan on ever doing that. But I've already seen other people use my voice, and I didn't authorize it. And yeah, I'm a little worried that it's getting easier and easier to do these things, and we're going to see more AI slop that actually looks like it's realistic, because now it's easier and quicker to generate people's voices to go behind it, and all you really need to do is rip off some of someone's video, and boom, you have their voice.
Do you know how many simultaneous users your website can handle? Most load testing tools require days of coding, script creation, and infrastructure setup, only to give you a simulated estimate of your load capacity. But luckily, there's a new solution. Meet LoadView, the first and only real browser-based load testing tool. LoadView offers no-code scripting to easily navigate your website. This script is uploaded to the LoadView cloud and run in real browsers from around the world, giving you perfect insight into your website's performance under load. Know your website's capacity limits and ensure exceptional performance. Sign up for a free trial at loadview-testing.com and start testing today.
So it's been a few weeks now since OpenClaw came out, and I wanted to make this video to tell you how I'm personally using it as a professional software developer. I'm going to go through my setup, the model selection, the tasks that I'm getting it to perform, and most importantly, how I'm keeping it secure and how I'm thinking about it going forward in the future. Okay, let's dive in, and let's start with my overall setup. So you have probably seen a lot of tutorials online of people showing you how to set up the Claude bot or OpenClaw, and I can tell you, because I've watched many of them myself, many of them are just wrong, or if you do set it up that way, you're going to have massive security vulnerabilities. Now, I already made a full tutorial on how to do this, but my particular setup is very secure. I have this on a virtual private server. You can see I'm SSH'd into this right now. I've set this up using something called Tailscale, which is a virtual private network that only allows traffic from my computer or IP address that I authorize. And I've added a firewall to this server and made sure that the Claude bot or OpenClaw is only running on localhost so that it's not exposed to any external traffic. A lot of people set this up and they actually have their OpenClaw instance just listening on the public IP address of the server. That is horrible and very insecure. So in my case, because of how I've set this up, it doesn't appear in any scans. You can't ping it. You can't attempt to SSH into it. And it has a full
We've seen Claude releasing this 200-line code that brought the B2B market down. We lost $300 billion of market value.
All of that is literally just beginning, but is all line of sight.
This is Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, legendary investor who was among the first to see every major tech wave coming. And what he's saying now should concern anyone with a career.
There aren't individual contributing workers anymore that we all deploy with a set of AIs.
So what do I do? What do people like me do?
Even most people who say, oh yeah, I'm using AI are not using it seriously enough.
You've been mentioning this a lot. Yeah. Everyone will have a set of agents working for them. Is it possible now, or we're still not quite there yet?
It's totally possible now.
So for someone who has a 9-to-5 job, what's the first thing they should do to double their income this year?
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe the simplest one is...
And I'm super excited that we're talking again a year later, so we can revisit some of the things that you said last year. It's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
And I see ChatGPT everywhere. People are using different tools to build their own things. Is this the AI boom, or is it like 10% of what we're going to see?
Maybe 5%.
5%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, the last couple of years, people have been talking about it a lot. And one of the things we should get you, and we'll figure out how to get to you, but like I actually made an AI Christmas record, kind of AI music I'd want to see around Christmas. And just beginning to scratch what these kind of possibilities are, because by the way, I'm not qualified to make a record. I have none of the skills, but with AI, you can do that. And so what I think people are under tracking is they're seeing, of course, the general discussion of codecs and cloud code and other things. And they're not realizing how that spreads out to every portion of kind of human work and creativity. That it isn't just, oh, we all have a software agent as our co-pilot doing stuff for us. Yes, that'll be true too. But that the coding capabilities are like generalized reasoning capabilities that then enable a bunch of things. They enable you to say, well, you know what I've always wanted for someone working with me as a travel agent, as someone who really understood, my love of particular kinds of archaeology. Could you then be the travel agent that figured out like where and what and and could possibly book things and all of that is literally just beginning, but is all line of sight. So I think we're literally, like, for example, we're a small n number of years by which we realize something I've been saying for the last couple, which is there aren't individual contributing workers anymore that we all deploy with a set of AIs. Like, for example, almost for sure, when we're doing this conversation, let's just project next year, since we did last year.
Yeah.
We'll have, like, your tablet will have an AI agent that's going, oh, ask him about this, or when he said this, do this, or, like that kind of thing will be amongst what we're doing. That's the reason why I'm like, not 10%, maybe 5%, maybe 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said in our last interview that we have around 2 years to adapt. So as someone non-technical, I want to start adapting.
Yeah.
So what do I do? If I'm a creator, a salesperson, a marketer,
Yeah.
what are the steps that I can take today?
Well, table stakes is if you're not already interacting with, call it the easy AI agents, the chatbots today, and in a substantive way. And I don't just mean that as a substantive way of like, so for example, you're thinking, okay, how do I take my podcast and kind of media to the next level? What are the things I should consider? What are the different kinds of ideas for it? Or I'm traveling to this fun place. What should I do there? All this stuff. But like, for example, what I mean by basics is in prompting, you don't just go, oh, I type in 7 words and see what I get. One of the things I think is key now is being voice build, which is speak to it. We speak a lot faster, and it's actually much, much better if you just throw out lots of things. But even in speaking to it, like one of the things that I'll do when I'm interacting with various AI agents is I'll say, really interested in what are the prospects of fusion technology, which company is doing really interesting things, if new things come from labs, Now, write me the right prompt to do all the research for that, even when I do voice build, because then it comes back with a 2-page prompt, and I run the 2-page prompt, and then I get something very interesting. So that's what I mean. I describe as basic.
Okay, this is basic.
Yeah, that's basic.
Talk to me about advanced, but without coding.
Like one of the things that as you begin to get experience with this, you realize that these chatbot agents are very good at ascribing roles. So you might have an idea, but you say, hey, I have an interest in, let's just continue the fusion example. I have an interest in fusion for climate change and fusion for energy and what it's going to mean for AI. Let's ask that question and answer like, okay, what would a technologist say? What would a venture investor say? What would a government policy person say? What would a nuclear safety person say? And then you might even ask the AI, are there other roles that I haven't thought of? And then you ask it to adopt each role in giving you an answer, because then you begin to realize that there's a whole lens of things. And this thinking about AI as like a consummate, kind of role taker is useful because even in very simple things, like you say, well, I'd really like to argue this, like when I'm writing, I do this. I say, well, argue against me. Like what's the thing that's a simple role? Like be the contrarian, be the naysayer to what I'm saying. By the way, you can also get and what are things I'm missing to argue for what I want to do?
That's a great exercise.
Yes, yes. So you do all that, but then it also gets interesting when you kind of go, all right, like for example, you say, well, hey, I'm thinking about what's the next generation of AI impacting social media, internet media? Like even the question you're asking, it's a great question to go ask AI. It's like, no, you have to ask it in a way that you're prompting it to do web research. This is maybe a little bit more on the slightly more advanced question is, what people don't realize is they think this is a deeply knowledgeable AI, which it is. They don't realize its training run finished 18 months ago. So it's actually 18 months out of date in the use of AI tools, right? So when you're asking a question like, well, which AI tools, you actually have to ask it a research question. You have to say, go pull a whole bunch of information. It's like GPT 5.2 thinking mode.
Yeah.
Pull in information and give me a report on it. Because if you're relying on just the information on the model, its view of something that we're being 18 months out of date is a problem.
Can you evaluate my setup? For example, I have a Notion where we have the whole operations, have 35 people on my team. We log every episode, we have a transcript, and then we have Claude projects for every social media that we're running, which has access to performance data, scripts. It acts like a strategist, so we gave it instructions so it knows what our goals are. Do you think it's easy, medium, or advanced? What else
I would say that's probably medium.
Medium,
right?
okay.
So part of it is you've got Claude agents with assigned roles on a kind of constant, an active part of the process, not one-off.
Yeah.
So that takes you from easy to medium.
Okay,
right?
great.
Kind of now on advanced, you probably want to say, well, what are the additional skills and what pulls from other sorts of data might be useful? Like, should we have one that's kind of going, for example, talk to all the agents or all the projects and say, is there through lines? Like, what can we derive from what's working, what's not working? Are there through lines that can give us good ideas for things we should be doing in the next month or two? Right? Like kind of doing almost like the meta of it would be one thing. And meta, both internal data, but also external data.
Like how other podcasts are
Yes.
doing.
And you might go, this one did this really interesting thing with, and I'm just choosing a random one, CryptoPunks. And we could do something with that. Right? Like that kind of thing. Like,
gathering ideas from other fields
yes,
for you.
Right. And that would be because again, part of it is think about the AI agents as intelligence that scales, processes information with basically the price of electricity, right? The price of compute, but price of compute and electricity. Well, that means it's like in the vectors where you can give it instructions, you don't want it to spend infinitely. You could obviously easily spend $200,000 on AI processing that's not useful. That is not useful. But in anything where it's kind of bounded into a vector that's useful, you go, well, actually, in fact, spending even call it $10,000 doing a bunch of compute could suddenly give you 15 different useful things. And that's easily valuable.
Yeah. So for someone who's listening who has a 9-to-5 job doing 80K and they're like, okay, how do I use it to double my income this year? What would you say?
Oh, that's interesting. Doubling income is an interesting question. Partially because maybe the simplest one is everyone who is running businesses that they're investing in knows that they have a massive need for AI transformation and AI talent. So part of it is to start demonstrating your engagement and knowledge with AI in ways that you're easily findable. Because, whether it's through LinkedIn or through social media platforms or else, like literally people are like, we're looking for this because we know we need this transformation. And so I think the lucrative jobs won't just be the super high price, like, oh, we need AI researchers. But like we're literally now, I think this year is when we really begin to see more of the applications. And so like, how do I run my business better? How do I do like my analysis of my supply chain or my financial analysis or my risk analysis or my marketing or my sales. How do I do any of that stuff better? And they're going to start looking at it. And sure, they'll go to some of their internal people, but everyone's going to start going, well, I've been doing this job, and jumping to the totally new thing is hard for me. So part of it is like, okay, start jumping to the new thing.
Love it. So basically the business idea or the double income idea, you get proficient in tools in some area and go help
and
other
demonstrate
companies.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
And demonstrate
Because I
it.
feel like we're also in a bubble, right? Where in Silicon Valley, everyone's using AI, and then you travel abroad and be like, what?
Yes.
What GPT?
Well, yes, with really interesting asterisks. So like, for example, I think it was about 18 months ago, I was talking to a friend of mine who was traveling in Morocco, and the taxi driver who didn't speak English was making their whole business work because they were just using ChatGPT as a translator. So literally it was just like,
people are figuring it out.
yes, exactly.
This is the beginner stage.
Yes,
but
yes,
then
yes.
you need to become medium and advanced.
We've been talking with Reed about AI changing how we work, how we build, how we create. And I want to show you a tool that we've actually been using on Silicon Valley Girl for a while. This is Hicksfield. You might have seen some of my posts with my dream guest for this podcast and my dream blog in New York City. Those videos and images were all generated in Hicksfield. It is a platform where you can get all the top AI models in one place. Nana Banana, Seedance, Kling, Google Veo, Sora. You don't need 10 subscriptions. Everything is right there. Hicksfield just dropped Cinema Studio 2.0, and this is the next level because it's not just an AI video. It's closer to actual filmmaking. You start with a text prompt, you pick your camera, your lens, your focal length, like you're setting up a real shoot, except you're doing it in your browser. You generate an image, and then you can step inside it as a 3D scene. Move around, find the exact angle you want, and then you turn it into a video. Camera movements, pan, dolly, drone shot. You just select it and it happens. No timelines, no keyframes, nothing. You can build full sequences, up to 6 shots, each up to 12 seconds in 1080p. You add characters, give them emotions, write dialogue, and it handles lip sync automatically. Characters stay consistent across every single shot. And here's what got me. There are genre presets: action, horror, comedy, suspense. And they don't just change how it looks, they change how it feels. A horror sequence builds tension slowly. Action speeds everything up. Comedy holds the reaction shots longer for timing. The genre actually shapes the pacing of the whole scene. This is probably the closest thing to real AI filmmaking that exists right now. Not just clips, but actual scenes with characters and story. If you want to try it, I'll leave the link to Cinema Studio 2.0 in the description. All right, let's get back to our interview with Reed.
Talk to me as an entrepreneur. So I built a company and I've been building this business since 2011, helping people learn languages, study abroad. But from what I'm seeing right now, with these systems getting more and more advanced, Codex can now do the taste thing, right, that we thought is irreplaceable. And then we've seen Claude releasing this 200-line code that brought the B2B market down. We lost $300 billion of market value. Is this the end of B2B software, or like what's going on?
What it was, markets tend to, over time, are very good measurement devices, but like can do crazy short-term things, short-term long, short-term low, short-term high. They can do both, right? Because they kind of don't know how to absorb something. And part of what the transformation of the kind of called SaaS B2B software market is, the way it used to run is, I would build something, kind of valuable like Salesforce. And in building Salesforce, it would take, ultimately I'd add in so many features, because one feature for company 1, one feature for company 2, 3 features for company 3, but having them all there, that for someone who wanted to compete with me, they'd have to spend $1 billion just to create the product to start the sales thing against me. And even then, the problem is that sales is a very hard thing, because what Salesforce says, we'll be here forever. Do you want to switch your mission critical system to the new provider who, sure, they spent $1 billion building a product, but are they going to still be here or not? So it's very hard to do. And that's the economics that created SaaS as a valuable business category, because then Salesforce, because it was hard to get competition in, could charge, I don't know what their actual sales margin, but let's call it 40%, margins, and that could allow them to kind of reinvest in their business and everything else. Now, with AI coding, it's like, well, actually, in fact, like I'm company 4, and they had these 2 features that I didn't want all of them.
Yeah.
And there was another feature that wasn't in there, or no, 2 features weren't even in there that I really wanted. Now it might just be more economical for me to kind of maintain my own system in AI, because generating and maintaining and evolving the software is so much cheaper.
It is,
right?
yeah.
One counterpoint, because everyone's like, oh, software engineers are getting out jobs. No, they're not, because they're going to be employed everywhere. Like the grocery store is going to be employing software engineers in these things. Like you still need to think about this. Like you say, I want to have a CRM system. You can't go to an AI and go, give me a CRM system.
Not now. What about 2 years?
Well, maybe eventually, but like, for example, I have confidence that for a number of years, and maybe it's shorter than I would believe, the human plus the AI will be much better. Right? Like when you're understanding, like for example, Sarah or Bob is walking around, they're looking at how we use the CRM system, and like, oh, but this would be a good idea. The AI doesn't really have that ability to walk around and do it. It'll have the ability to do internet research and bring that in, which is really useful, as per earlier comments. But that's the reason why I think the combo will be useful. And that's the reason I think software engineers will have jobs for a while, because it's a way of thinking about it. Now, how a software engineer operates is already starting to change. Like as opposed to I'm sitting down and typing code. It's like, well, actually, in fact, I've got 20 coding agents that I'm managing through voice, going, generate this, cross-check this, do that. Yeah. Like I'm more of a conductor than I am a violin player or a piano player, right? Is kind of the thing. And that is changing. People be surprised at how much room there is in the business world for conductors.
Okay. But so I've heard this a lot on social media, and I feel like I'm kind of starting to believe it, that we only have a few years to make money as small business entrepreneurs, because then it's going to be taken away by large models. Do you agree with that?
Well, I do think that we're going to see a sea of content creation by AI.
Yeah.
And, people say, well, but people don't want that. They want only human. It's like, well, there will be a persistent demand for human. That's good. By the way, just like there's elevator music, music in elevators. And so like there's lots of things out there that people are not like, well, I'm really looking to make sure it's only a person who made that. It's just, does it fit my particular need and circumstances? Is it easily available? Is it free, cheap, not expensive, et cetera, et cetera. So there's going to be a flood of stuff. I do think that what that means for small business is, but it may be a feature of small business versus call it large businesses, which is small businesses usually tend to be able to be more adaptive because our large businesses are almost more on, call it, the industrial model, the Taylor model. Like we tuned our efficiency and we work really hard and we own these distribution channels. And we did I love Disney, so I'm not picking on Disney, but like Disney, as what doing. Small businesses adopt AI, I think will have a lot of interesting, unique shots because of the platform transition. And so it'll be an advantage to them versus the large companies. The small businesses don't adopt AI, I think it's going to be very hard.
What would be your advice then for entrepreneurs who are building a smaller AI-based business, and are afraid that 2 weeks somebody releases, like with SAT prep, because I'm in test prep.
Yes. Yeah,
Gemini released SAT prep. I'm like, okay, my thing is TOEFL.
Yes.
When is TOEFL coming to Gemini?
Probably very soon. But, sorry to say, I just registered your specific question, but my guess is it's
very
not
soon,
very
right?
soon.
Yeah.
Months.
So what do I do? What do people like me do?
Well, I think what you do is you refactor to go, look, I realize I'm going to have to rebase my entire business on AI, and AI is a dynamic changing platform. So in as much as it's not tooled on AI, I got to retool. Now, part of it is, okay, TOEFL will be available on AI platforms for entrepreneurial or kind of call it people who want to pull it together themselves, just as they were pulling together through Google searches, whatever else, for free. So what's the things I can do that cause people to engage with me?
Yeah, what's my value add?
Right.
Okay, build a personal brand. We're doing this.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Well, that's definitely one. But it's also like you could imagine it's like, well, actually, in fact, most of these, like Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, et cetera, will be solo experiences for a number of years. It's going to be so focused on solo experiences. Well, maybe there's ways we can do group experiences. And the group experiences really work. And it doesn't mean that, you can't inject, ChatGPT into a group experience and have it, be useful. But maybe it's like, what are the ways that we use this trajectory? And then we are adding in something else. Because it's not going to be like, for example, you say, well, but it could do that itself. Or someone who says, I want to do it myself. Sure. But people don't want to do everything themselves.
Yeah.
One, they don't have the ideas. Two, they don't have the time. I think AI prompting is only going to slowly, like at human speeds, grow as I even talk to people who are pretty expert and they go, oh, wait a minute. I was voice build, but I wasn't doing it. Tell me write the prompt for me off it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It takes you to the next level because the problem's like this.
Yes. Right. That kind of thing.
This is very interesting.
If you're watching this, you are probably thinking about growing your own LinkedIn profile. Here's what we found. The people crushing it aren't guessing what to post. They have a system. That's why we built a free database of 300 post ideas. It's literally 300 ready-to-use post ideas you can use across your LinkedIn right now. We organize the ideas based on audience's segment, type of content to use, whether it's an image or text or video, frequency, because you can post one idea multiple times, and even time needed to create. If it sounds good to you, we're giving it for free to my Inner Circle newsletter subscribers, which is, again, it's free to subscribe. Link is in the comments. Grab it, and you're set for the next year of content.
So are there any industries that you think are more... So from what you're saying, like group experience, everything, I feel like offline is going to get way bigger. Just want to stay off our devices and do things. Any other markets?
Well, offline for sure. I also think, like I said, we are social animals. So that's the reason why the groups is not just, being one of the earliest social network people, LinkedIn, et cetera. But I think that will matter. Even as these AI systems get a lot of capability, there still will be uncertainties in trust. And part of the uncertainties in trust is the incentive of the entity that's offering it versus others. And there's ways that we kind of gets back to the personal brand. But the set of things that kind of get to like, how is that trust established and maintained? We're both familiar from our Silicon Valley context. There's obviously a whole bunch of people say everything that's done with bits is going to be completely done with AI and that's it. I'd be very surprised if that were true. Like that would be surprising. What I think is it'll be massively transformed. So anything that's being done with bits in a particular way today will be very different in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, et cetera. And you have to adapt to it and adopt it. But I tend to think there's still, like, for example, it's like, oh, well, I shouldn't bother writing science fiction anymore. It's like, it's not clear to me. Like, I think writing science fiction could still work. But if your process of writing science fiction is, I disappear for 3 years into a cubicle, kind of typing on my, I'm not sure that's going to work.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think AI is the last human-driven revolution and all of the next revolutions will be AI created?
I think call it probability 60 to 70% that the future inventions over the next, call it 50 to 100 years, who knows after that, will be human plus AI created. It doesn't mean that there won't, like every human doing an invention might not be actually in fact using AI to do it. I have some actually, kind of, unfortunately, some things I can't talk about because they're confidential, but like they will be revealed the next month around like physicists working with AI to do stuff. And it's not, oh my God, we discovered what dark matter is, but solving physics problems. But it's the human plus AI together. And I think
60, 70%.
Yeah. Then I think there is, of like inventions, and then I think there's probably going to be, call it another 25%, 30%, depending on where it is exactly, that is actually, in fact, primarily AI driven, right, over time, in part because we'll begin to kind of get zones of, that's a much better problem for the AI to solve. And there might be some human checking in, but it won't even be that depth of it being a conductor. It'll be more like cross-checking the, hey, or does this make sense? Or can I spend $10 million doing the compute to analyze fusion containment in the following way? And you're like, well, $10 million is a lot of money. If it's in today's dollars, let's cross-check it. And then I think there will be still 5% that's still the human eureka, like without AI.
Okay, only 5% work.
Yes. Well, with unassisted.
Okay, so sounds good. Sounds positive. Okay, my last question. It is February 2026. If you could give one piece of advice to someone watching now, what is one thing they should do before February 2027 to not get left behind?
Well, the very central thing, a little bit like what echoes what we were talking about before, is even most people who say, oh yeah, I'm using AI are not using it seriously enough, right? Which is like, in everything that I do, I think about how would I use, I don't always do it because you don't always have to, and certainly not now, but how would I use AI to help me do that or to make that happen? And it ranges everything from I'm planning a vacation in Rome to I am thinking about writing a piece or what's the way that I would analyze what's going on with Multiply. And the whole range. I think, okay, if I were going to try to use AI to really help with that, what might I do? And having that
OpenClaw is the most powerful AI tool I've ever
I'm going to have a
used.
difficult conversation with my mother. Okay, think about how AI could help with that. Like, just get in the reflex. Think of it as kind of doing like just the simple training.
Yeah, like before everything you do, just think about how you could deploy AI.
Yeah, and you might go, no, I'm not going to do this one. That's fine because limited time and all the rest. But like, be thinking about that because that is a reflex. Because literally, my belief is today, everything you do, AI can be helpful. Doesn't mean it's the answer. So, for example, I still wouldn't go, here's the money I'm investing in AI, just have an AI do it. I think that would be a way to lose money today, right? I'm still doing it myself.
Yeah.
But I also, by the way, think about like what new capabilities the AI is bringing to my ability to invest, including in AI.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much. And thank you from everyone who's posting on LinkedIn. I feel like 2025 was the year of LinkedIn when we all saw tremendous growth and so many great deals. So thank you so much for creating it.
My pleasure. Great talking to you.
Most founders think they have an unfair advantage. We're first to market, we have better technology, we know the industry inside out. But here's the uncomfortable truth. None of those actually defend anything. Your competitive advantage is probably fake. In the next 12 minutes, I'll show you why most advantages fail, what actually works, and how to test if yours is real. So let me tell you about Steve. Steve built a virtual reality platform. He's a former engineer, a really smart guy, and he had what looked like 3 massive advantages. First to market, better technology, and deep industry knowledge. But 18 months later, he's stuck with zero revenue. Another competitor launched with an inferior product, but better go-to-market and a top VC backing. And just like that, Steve's advantages were all gone. I don't understand, Steve told his mentor, Mary, our tech is better, we were here first, how are they winning? And Mary asked him a simple question. Steve, what can you do that they can't easily copy or buy? And there was silence on the other end. And that's because his technology, any decent team can replicate in 6 months. And with AI, maybe even in 3 months. His timing, that means nothing without customer traction. And his industry knowledge, sure, it's helpful, but not defensible on its own. Steve's advantages weren't actually advantages, they were illusions. Knowledge, sure, it's helpful, but not defensible on its own. Steve's advantages weren't anything without customer traction. And his industry knowledge, sure, it's helpful, but not defensible on its own. Steve's advantages weren't actually advantages, they were illusions. But here's why this happens to almost every founder. There are 3 types of fake advantages that trip many founders up. Fake advantage number 1 is the first mover advantage. We're first to market. Okay, so what? Facebook wasn't first, Friendster was, MySpace was. Google wasn't first, Yahoo, AltaVista, Ask Jeeves all came before. Airbnb wasn't first, Vrbo existed for years. Being first only matters if you can build network effects or switching costs fast enough that being second becomes meaningless. Otherwise, you're just doing expensive market education for your competitors. That's exactly what happened to Steve. He spent 18 months building features while his competitors spent just 3 months building traction. Fake advantage number 2, better technology. Our tech is superior. This might be the most dangerous delusion in startups. Technology advantages decay fast because anything worth copying gets copied. And it's always easier to copy what's already working and try to invent something new on your own. That 18-month lead that you're so proud of, competitors can close it in 6 months, and as I said, maybe even 3 months now with AI. Your technical moat only matters if customers actually care about the difference and competitors can't replicate it. That's a pretty narrow window. Fake advantage number 3 is industry knowledge. We know the space better than anyone. It's comforting to believe, but mostly falls on its own. Industry knowledge helps you understand problems, sure, but it doesn't stop competitors from learning those same problems just by talking to customers. And here's the kicker. Being too close to a problem actually creates inside-the-box thinking. Some of the best startups win by thinking differently than incumbents. Think ride-sharing versus taxis, or Airbnb versus hotels. Same problem, different solution, completely different opening. So if all these are fake advantages, what actually is a real unfair advantages? Real unfair advantages come from constraints competitors can't or won't be able to overcome. I'm a huge fan of Hamilton Helmer's 7 Powers framework because it neatly identifies 7 archetypes of unfair advantages that I find capture most, if not all, types of real unfair advantages. Now, 3 of them are hard to build early on: scale economies, process power, and brand, because they need scale, organizational maturity, or years of consistent delivery to be able to build those. But there are 4 you can actually start building early, which is what I'm going to focus on next. Advantage number 1, network effects. This is where each user makes your product more valuable for existing users. Think Facebook, Airbnb, Uber. A common myth here, though, is thinking that you can only leverage network effects if you're that big, but that isn't true. WhatsApp started with just one friend group, then another, and then entire social circles formed. Each group that joined made it more valuable for everyone already there. And that's the beauty of it. Even if you aren't building an inherently viral product, creating a community or group of early adopters that love your product can serve the exact same purpose. Here's a quick test. Imagine you lose all your technology but keep your loyal users. Do you still have an advantage? If the answer is yes, you've got the beginnings of network effects. If no, you don't. Advantage number 2, switching costs. This is when customers invest so much time, money, or effort making your solution work that switching becomes genuinely painful for them. Think Salesforce or the Apple ecosystem. But at the early stage, look at what Notion did. It started simple, and then users built their entire workspace on it. Databases, templates, team wikis. At that point, switching meant rebuilding everything from scratch. The key insight here is to make your product dead simple to switch to, then over time, over-deliver on value. That's how your product's stickiness naturally starts compounding over time and becomes harder to switch away from. The test here, would customers lose significant time, money, or functionality by switching away from your product? If the answer is yes, you've got the beginnings of switching costs. Advantage number 3, cornered resources. This one is about having exclusive access to critical resources that competitors can't easily obtain, and it comes in 3 forms. First, proprietary data. At scale, think Google's 20 years of search data or Tesla's driving data. But for an early stage startup, think of a company like Clearbit that cornered company data APIs before their competitors even existed. Second on the list here is regulatory access. At scale, FDA approvals and banking licenses are examples of these, but at the early stage, think Stripe. Stripe got payment processing licenses state by state, building a moat one license at a time, while others were still waiting in line. Third on the list is exclusive relationships. At scale, Spotify's label deals or OpenAI's Microsoft partnership are examples of such deals. But even at the early stage, you can get started. DoorDash signed exclusive restaurant deals market by going door to door, making these kinds of deals. The test here is, could a well-funded competitor access those same resources in 12 months? If not, you've got cornered resources. So let's go on to advantage number 4, counter-positioning. This by far is my favorite. It's when you have a new business model that incumbents can't easily copy without killing their own cash cow. Netflix killed Blockbuster because eliminating late fees meant destroying 50% of Blockbuster's profit. AWS offered pay-as-you-go when Oracle would lock you into expensive annual licenses. And Robinhood offered free trades when E-Trade charged $7 per trade. Even when incumbents can clearly see what you're doing, copying you means cannibalizing their existing business, and that's why this unfair advantage is so powerful. The test here, would competitors have to damage their existing business to compete with you? If yes, you've got counter-positioning. Now notice what's missing from this list. Technology, industry knowledge, or first mover. None of them are defensible on their own. Also missing scale economies, process power, and brand. Those are second act advantages. You build them after product market fit. Right now, focus on just the first 4. So let's go back to Steve. Steve tells Mary, I don't have any of these unfair advantages. What do I do? And she told him, well, actually, you do. You just haven't framed it right. Moat building doesn't start big, it starts small and compounds over time. The trick is picking the right unfair advantage story or strategy to lead with. What do you mean lead with? Look at the 4 we just talked about. Counter-positioning is the one you can set up right away, before you even have traction. You just need a business model that incumbents can't copy without hurting themselves. The other 3, network effects, switching costs, cornered resources, those layer in as you grow. And that reframed everything for Steve. He narrowed his focus to architecture firms doing residential projects and built something simple. Upload 2D sketches, get a VR walkthrough in a few minutes, and that's what made it a counter-positioning play. The big CAD software companies charge $50,000 per seat for complex 3D modeling suites. Steve, on the other hand, offered a simple, focused, affordable tool that solved one specific problem. Those incumbents couldn't match his price or simplicity without undermining their entire enterprise sales model. And then Steve talked to 30 firms in 30 days and learned what their real problems actually were. Client communication and sales and revision cycles, not VR technology. And so he pivoted his pitch, reduced revision cycles by 40%, and the end result, 3 pilots and 60,000 committed. And as traction grew, the next layers kicked in just naturally. When we look at switching costs, architects started uploading sketches directly, sharing walkthroughs with clients, building asset libraries. Their entire presentation process became integrated with his platform. At that point, leaving meant rebuilding everything. Network effects. Architects started sharing walkthroughs with contractors, interior designers, and clients, pulling more people into the platform. Each new connection made the tool even more valuable for everyone else already using it. And that's what led to his final unfair advantage, a cornered resource. Every walkthrough generated data, what clients looked at, for how long, what questions they asked. That data fed into better recommendations, smarter defaults, faster rendering. No competitor could access it. Steve's unfair advantage wasn't one thing, it was a strategy of 4 things that came together. He led with counter-positioning to start earning customers, then layered in switching costs, network effects, and eventually cornered resources as traction compounded. That's how moats actually get built. So how do you test if your advantage is actually real? I use a simple 3-question test. Number 1, can a competitor with $10 million replicate what you are doing in 3 to 6 months? If yes, it's not yet defensible. And if no, then that's an unfair advantage you should double down on. Number 2, does it get stronger as you grow? If the answer is no, it's not compounding. If yes, keep going. And number 3, would you still have it without your technology? If the answer is no, it's typically technology dependent and fragile. If the answer is yes, it's usually a real unfair advantage. Most founders fail on question 1. Their advantages can be replicated with enough time, money, and effort, and that's not an advantage, that's just a head start. So here's what to do with all of this. Step number 1, list everything you think gives you an edge. Step number 2, run each one through the 3-question test. Most are going to fail, and that's perfectly normal. Knowing they're fake now avoids wasting time on them. Step number 3, start with counter-positioning. It's the one that most founders can set up right away before you even have traction. What can you do that incumbents can copy without hurting their existing business? Step number 4, map out your layering strategy. As traction grows, which advantages kick in next? Switching costs from accumulated data, network effects from connected users, cornered resources from proprietary insights. You don't need all 4 on day 1, but you need a plan for how they're going to compound over time. Step number 5, use your fake advantages as accelerants, because they're still useful, just not the way you thought. First mover, use it to acquire customers fast. Better technology, deliver better outcomes while switching costs build. And industry knowledge, find the right segment faster than an outsider could. Here's the distinction. Accelerants help you move faster, but advantages help you stay ahead. If you want to, then an outsider could. Here's the distinction. Accelerants help you move faster, but advantages help you stay ahead. If you want to dig, then an outsider could. Here's the distinction. Accelerants help you move faster, but advantages help you stay ahead. If you want to dig deeper into these unfair advantages, you should check out this video over here, where I walk through each of the 7 archetypes in a lot more detail with examples and strategies. Unfair advantages. Here's the distinction. Accelerants help you move faster, but advantages help you stay ahead. If you want to dig deeper into these unfair advantages, you should check out this video over here.